This is a quick walkthrough of how I use Jobber for a plumbing workflow. This is a Jobber demo account, so your account may look a little different. I've tried to kind of utilize a full workflow throughout here. Obviously, every business is different. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. So I've created a work request form in this account that could be used for a plumbing company. Again, some details might be different. We're going to pretend that this request for Mary Watson came in through our website. So I'm going to click on this. So Mary is somebody that's already in my system, but if she was not, she would show up as a lead. And whatever information she added on work request form from the website would be used to create her client profile. So now this request should be reviewed. I've got some questions in here that I just threw in to kind of be helpful to show a plumbing example. This can be customized any way you need it for your business. I do recommend using checkboxes because they're really fast for a customer to look through and click what they need. And they may not know exactly what the problem is. So just crafting this in a way that is understandable to your customer is important. So I've just asked for some information about the property, the type of home, just in case there are types of properties that you don't service or that give you some indication of the type of problem they're having. So I've got detached home here. Mary owns this house. The problem is inside. She doesn't know what year her home was built. I've got another section here. How can we help you? I've got troubleshooting and repair. If you have a call out fee, I do recommend putting that in the request form. Just this kind of counteracts any awkward conversations that you might have with people about taking an upfront fee for a call out. So plumbing inspection, replacement or upgrade, new installation, plumbing, a new build. So obviously, if these don't all pertain to your business, that's fine. You can change it as needed. Equipment, I just put a short list here. For this example, I've checked off that it's a tanked water heater. I think there's something wrong with my water heater. The water isn't very hot. Can someone please come take a look? And then Mary has selected the first available appointment would be best for her. So now we can go back up here. If you need to go to the site to do a service call and you don't charge call-out fee, you could technically set this up as an on-site assessment. So you would click this hot water heater inspection and possible repair. You can choose to schedule it later, which will add an unscheduled visit to the calendar, or you can choose a date and time for that assessment. And you could put any time. If the customer if you're trying to squeeze it in, obviously I would recommend choosing a time for them and then assigning it to the technician or the salesperson that's going to be going to the appointment. In settings, you'll have to make sure that whoever is assigned here does have permissions to view requests. Now, if this wasn't a free assessment and you want to take a call out fee, I would recommend going to more and converting this to a quote. I'm just going to create a new quote here. We're going to call this a service call out. Now you can see on the side here that I have the request, just so I can take some information from that to put in here. Let's say call out fee $199. You could change the description here. Call out for water heater repair or replacement. Could add a text line item here about deposits. So this just says all services require a deposit to secure your service date. Deposits are considered non-refundable if canceled within 48 hours of service or location cannot be accessed at the time of our appointment. After completion of service, your card will be charged the remaining amount unless otherwise discussed. So this basically gives people the indication of what your payment structure is. So down here, going to add the required deposit as 100%. So this is just for the call out. You could also have a bit of information here that if a repair is required or a replacement, that this call out fee will be put towards their final invoice. So there's a bunch of information down here. I'll let you go through that on your own. So you can save and send as text message. I do recommend sending these by text messages if you're taking a deposit so that people can put their credit card in a lot easier and approve the quote easier. However, you can send it as an email as well. So we're going to pretend we've already sent this, requested the deposit for the call out fee. We're going to convert this to a job, and that's what we're going to schedule. So now we've already got the name here, service call out. This would be considered a one-off job. For scheduling it for today, perfect. If you don't have a date or time yet, you could choose schedule later. But for today, we're just going to say that this job is happening today. You're going to assign it to your tech. We would like it to invoice when the job is closed, or a reminder to invoice when the job is closed. We've got that call out fee. Now that the quote has been approved, we can take off this text line item about deposits. And then on this job, we could technically have line items added for a new water heater, let's say. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going to be happening here, but we're fast tracking this. So we're going to save, and you can text a booking notification that the job has been booked, or you can email. If it's same day, I would recommend doing a text. So for this example, because this is a fake client, I'm just going to hit save job. Once the job is being done in the field, these line items can be updated. So maybe she didn't actually need a new water heater. It was able to be repaired. So let's say repairs, and let's go $85 for a repair hour, let's say. Say this call out includes some repair time. This is just additional on top of what was included in the call out. You could put in the description what was completed. Hit save. Put some new line items in here called materials. And let's say $225. So now I just added the time manually. If they were using the app, this time that they already tracked will show up automatically. If I can ask if I want to close the job, schedule a new visit, or action required, if this job is done, you would hit close job. Now you can see that this job for Mary requires invoicing, and Jobber is going to give you a green button at the top here to generate the invoice. If you have multiple invoices to do, you can also use batch invoicing, but for this example, I'll just show you how to generate right away. This can also be done from the app in the field. If this is just a service call, you're not going to use this progress invoicing. So we're going to do entire job. If you do have a large project, you could invoice just a portion. That could be just a percentage of the job, or in this case, obviously, we're going to do entire. Next step. So in the case we used that Mary had to pay a deposit before we put her on the schedule. So I'm going to add a deposit. Again, if she did this online, it would already be here. This is because it's a test. I'm just going to call this deposit made by Zelle, let's say. Save. Now you can see she's got a deposit. Once you send this invoice to Mary, she's just going to see that she owes $310 of the remaining. On this invoice, you can make changes anywhere you need. So if you needed to make some notes on the description of the work that was completed, you can put that here. Materials used. And we can hit save, and you can send it as a text message or you can send it as an email. You can do that right on site. If the deposit was made on a credit card, you could just hit the collect payment button, and you just want to make sure that the amount owing is just what's left on that invoice, which should automatically populate, but just double check. Let's say that we're on site and she gave us a credit card. If this was done through Jobber Payments, you don't have to do any of this. You could just hit save or save an email receipt, and you can hit send email. In this case, I'm just going to mark it as sent. All right, so that job is done there. If you have the marketing for reviews turned on, it would automatically prompt a review from Mary that will take her right to Google. If you have any questions about how to use the workflow or just specific examples, please feel free to reach out.